Hey, what's up, Dean? Same performance. Back down shop and continuing on the Magnum. Last night I did pull the front bumper off. Well, it's not really a bumper, it's a bumper cover, front, whatever, plastic. And this is weird to me. So I had this off, but you can see the two ports right there for the transmission cooler. It's actually built into the evaporator. That is very strange to me. I've never seen that before, and I don't see where it's separated at. So I don't know. Not really sure, but I'm not putting the lines back there. I have that other cooler. I'll mount it below the power steering cooler, which oddly enough just stabs through the evaporator, looks like. So yeah, I'll mount that on there. I'll probably do that and then maybe put the cover back on. Not sure. Foam falling out of it. I don't know. I might look into like if these are some kind of like lower lights or something, or I might bring it over to Richard, have him fix a couple of dings from people hitting it when it was parked outside. Couple of scratches. It's okay. I got that coolant tank off yesterday, so I don't think I'm going to be able to use this for a power steering reservoir. And it's just pulling. Good thing I've got the drain pan under it. But I did pick up the transmission mount. It's just that energy suspension polyurethane style one. I gotta snatch the bolts out of Jeff's transmission that he left here for me to deal with. So I gotta snatch the two bolts out of that because I don't have any bolts left. They're all in the bottom of that bin. And then get back to work on the shifter. That's probably about all I could do other than take the other half of the drive shaft out. Because I'm going to look into swapping that front, this piece here. So it's got one of these in between this and the diff, and then it has this style flange on the diff. So I want to see if you could swap that flange for like a standard U-joint. Then I could just have them cut and balance the drive shaft for it. That'd be quick and easy. Otherwise I got to try and finagle something with this weird small diameter back here. Maybe they could do like a 3-inch and then neck it down and reuse this. I don't really know. I'll have to go and talk to them. But it's like splined in the middle and it's got a carrier bearing, and I don't want all that stuff. So let me get to work and we shall see. Okay, so I have no clue where I left off, whatever. But I did end up mounting the trans cooler, the new one. The tabs are up there. I gotta cut the tabs off, but I drilled holes in the front of the bumper to get nuts up in there. You can see the nuts up in there, and they're lock nuts. So the bolts come down and then the nuts go on. And then I put the tabs on here. It works out. I bent them, and I'll pull this in to that hole right there. I'll pull it in, drill a hole on both sides, and I'll most likely put a rivet in these ones, being that the radiator's right there and you won't be able to get a nut or a bolt in there. Then I moved on to doing the shifter, and I gotta let the car down, but I'll do that now. Hold on. Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll show you this part first. So the cross member, I've had more interruptions today and distractions and everything. So I this is the third attempt at this cross member. And even at this, I didn't make a mistake. I made a speed hole. That's air can come through the bar. But it has been a crazy day today. But I got the transmission. I measured the angle on the back because that doesn't move. So it has to have an angle. I unbolted this, but I didn't unbolt it back there. So I put the transmission up, so there's about a 3-degree drop in the drive shaft because I'm going to do a one-piece drive shaft. And it happened to work out like perfect with the rubber mount on there, the poly mount, whatever you want to call it. It was 1 inch, perfectly 1 inch below. No, it's flush. The mount is actually dead nuts flush with, if you want to call that the floor or the frame or whatever you want to call that. It's not the frame or the floor. It's like a pocket for the transmission. The old transmission cross member bolted here and here. So I just moved it back to catch this hole. I reused the factory bolts, cut them down. The 1 inch tube just worked out where I could drill through. The washer spreads the load over it to the verticals, so it doesn't squash the tube. Same with the mount. The washers are to the outside of the tube. So that's done. It's fully welded and everything. The cable's in because the shifter is finally in. That was another 3 tries on that. So all that's left under here is I have to clearance that support, that mount for the transmission. I started cutting it so I don't forget, but I just got to cut this piece off, and then I'll taper the cut over or something to kind of clean it up. But I have to get the transmission out to be able to cut up alongside just for the lever to go on. And I trimmed the lever. I trimmed the whole back side of the lever. There's like 3 or 4 holes. I can't remember. I think it's DCF. So this sits on there like that, and now you can see it's hitting the floorboard. So it won't go on, but that's because of this piece here. Once it gets all the way here, it just barely touches. So I'm gonna cut it out so that I can get it on and off. I can get it on if I lower it, but then it doesn't swing because it hits the corners. But I trim the back side because when it's in park, right, it sits like this, and then when you go to 1, it's all the way back here. So this piece came way up and hit way up in there, so might as well trim this off, and then once this is trimmed, that'll work good. Done. Over. Because all day and even extra, it's not very late, but it's like 6:40. I don't normally stay this long. Normally I can knock things out pretty quick, but I have just not gotten anything done today, really. Bunch of phone calls, so which is good, but at the same time it's not good. So let me make sure, because I'll come in the morning and yoke this thing up, and right off the lift it'll go. So that, and there's the shifter. I started out with like aluminum square tube, wasn't high enough, and then I was thinking like, how do I go from back there to up there? I overthunk it a bunch, then finally just stopped doing that, and I was doing something else. I don't remember. Oh, I was cutting the cables out, and kind of looked at it again, and here's what I decided. I locked the door. So what I did actually worked out really good. So I made a plate that bolts down to like the factory studs that are sticking up out of the floor, and then I took some chromoly tube, some 1/2 inch chromoly tube, and I welded 1/4 20 nuts to the end of them, measured the height, and then just welded the tubes to the plate. And the shifter is solid as a rock. The only downside to that is that this panel now is completely wrong. Not completely wrong, just mostly wrong. So the cable worked out really good. It's actually underneath. Then I'm not going to be able to get the cover on. Once the cover's on, it's not in the right spot anymore. So I found, oh, plus the chrome, I didn't have to cut all the chrome bezel piece. And obviously I don't think I had to cut this front out. So I found these online. I mean, there's people selling these for like 20 or 30 bucks. So I'm going to order a new one of those and a new one of the chrome, that trim ring that goes inside of there. And then I will just set the cover once I get the gate. I still need the gate, but then once I get the cover on, I can take this and just little by little just keep trimming until it sets down in there. Plus I'll have this back tab is broke, that front tab is broke, that front tab is broke off of this piece. Well, no, the front ones aren't broke, they just don't have clips. But you can see the two back ones are broke. I need to have one to hold the back down, sort of. But also the front screw hole is broke. So literally there'd be one screw holding it down. And for the amount of money, you might as well just buy a new one. But you can see the cable holes nice and small. I'm going to take some seam sealer and squirt it down in there. And I'll get it between this rubber pad and that floor pan there. That'll seal that up. Yeah, that is pretty much all I got done today. I haven't even had a chance to look at like wiring, nothing. But yeah, the other thing I found out, it's drive-by-wire. That becomes an issue. I gotta find a gas pedal, some kind of gas pedal to go on there, and probably try and use that actual pedal on it. I might just make a rod assembly. I think I have enough stuff to do that, so I could just kind of make my own gas pedal, and then I'll mount that one to it so it looks like the factory one. So I mean, a little bit done, but not enough. But now I am ready that I could take this one out, steal Jeff's heads, clean them, check the deck surface of them, which I believe is good. We never had a coolant issue with it. And then I could put those on mine, get mine all together. I have the transmission. I do need to get the converter, whichever one I'm going to use, up to FTI, have them go through it, and then I can get everything back in the car. And I think I have just enough room back there. I should be able to get everything bolted together because it actually rocks down a pretty good amount. So I should be able to get the motor in, bolted in, like final, bolt everything in. And then once I get the converter back, I could put the converter up in there. Temporarily, I'll keep the empty case in it. But I can put the converter in it, put the transmission in it. That'll have the dipstick, which I'll probably have to maybe change the dipstick or just bend it so it comes out over here somewhere. I'll have to do something with that, it looks like. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But I do like the position of the motor. Like the front of the motor is almost the center line of the wheel. So that motor sits really far back. I could even stand to pull it forward a bunch. Worst case scenario, if I have to, for like to make the dipstick easier or something, I could pull it forward. All I'd have to do is notch those 2 bolt holes on the tubes, just kind of make them slotted, and then I could slide the whole assembly forward, I believe, possibly. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So that is it for today. I'm getting out of here. I'm going home. Hair's all messy. But appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of new videos, and leave me a comment. As always, have a good day.